वेलकम टू द न्यू वीडियो वेयर वी लर्न अबाउट द फाइनेंस इन अ वेरी इजी एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग लैंग्वेज। सो आज हम बात करेंगे यूएस स्टॉक के बारे में कि क्यों आज इस टाइम ये बहुत ही सही टाइम है टू इन्वेस्ट इन द यूएस स्टॉक्स and to gain a lot of profit from the US stock. So this is particularly not an investment advice, but yeah, I'll explain everything from the macroeconomic point of view. Watch this video till the very last to understand my perspective and why I'm saying that the US stock will go at a much rapid pace from this point. So let's look at the Nasdaq Composite, and it has fallen from last 1 years by 28.89%. That's a very big fall. So this is a meta index. So when we see to the meta index, it has fallen like a crazy 65% fall is there from last 1 year. So if we see this is Google, so it has fallen by 33.43% from last 1 year. Now we are going to learn like why the US tech stock are suffering by this much. What I think is the most important point is like why this US stock is suffering by this much is because the US dollar get strengthened as compared to the other currency. I'm not saying that the US dollar has been strengthened, but it strengthens compared to the other currencies. This US dollar has also fallen because of the inflation rate. So I'll explain like why I'm saying that the US dollar has strengthened. So we already know that in these periods like from past 3 years we are seeing that the inflation rate is going very high. So when there is an increase in the inflation rate, so the government, in order to curb that inflation rate, government tries to increase the interest rate. So when there is an increase in the interest rate, the currency of that country will get strengthened. Why I'm saying that? Because the market liquidity will decrease, because the people of the country will not spend their money, rather than they start to invest their money in some of the attractive bonds and where they are getting higher returns. Now what happens if the dollar get strengthened? So the if the country's currency get strengthened, its export always get hurt, because it will become expensive for the other countries in order to purchase some of the products which is being manufactured in that particular country where prices got strengthened. So that's why the US exports will hurt. So what happens due to that? So when there was an increase in the interest rate, the US exports got hurt. Now due to this, the big companies like the Apple, the Googles, and all of the FANG companies, they all have a lot of cash flows in the US dollars and they deal in the US dollars. So if these exports get hurt, so ultimately these big companies will get hurt. So this is primarily the reason why we are seeing that there is a downfall in the big companies like Google, like Meta, like Amazon's. We are seeing a very downfalls in that. And the other prominent reasons behind that is like when there is an increase in the interest rate, FIIs will try to reduce its stake from some of the risky assets, and one of the risky assets is the tech stocks. So it will reduce their stakes in this tech stock and try to invest that particular money into some of the safest stocks where they're getting more returns. So that is what happens at the current time, and FII reduces their stakes in the some of the big companies, some of the big assets, and try to take that money into safer bonds. And the US bond is very attractive, so FIIs try to invest those monies into the US bonds. And so I think from my perspective and from the macroeconomic perspective, I see that this is primarily the reasons why there is a lot of falls in the big companies that we are seeing currently. But according to me, these two are the most prominent reasons for the downfall of these big companies, because this has already been factored into the market. So I don't see any big reasons from now onwards to be that led to the continuous fall of these big companies. And so that I see that there will be a recovery from this point, as these two are already factored. This is the chart for the other countries, like how the other countries have behaved according to the US in comparison with the US dollar. So we see that except Brazil and Mexico, that the US dollar has gotten strengthened against any of the other countries. So this is also one of the prominent reason why I'm saying to invest in the US stock. As you can see in the rupee dollar exchange rate, this is a chart from 2008 to 2022. We are seeing the continuous increase in the rupee dollar exchange rate from 43 to 80 from 2008 to 2022. And if we calculate this, goes approx to 4.08%. So what analysis we are drawing from here is like our money is getting devalued like every year by 4.08%. So we should diversify our portfolios and we should invest in some of the strongest currencies in the world. If we see from a higher perspective, our wealth, if we keep our wealth in INR values only, so it will decrease by 4% every year. So now your next question will be, okay, so why the INR values is continue to decrease with a period of time? Like what is the reason behind that? I'll explain that in the next snippet. In the previous 1 year, we are seeing that the US dollar has been strengthened by 8.76%, while it was like 4 to 5% on an average, but this years it has been increased to 8.76%, which is a very big gap. Now why we are seeing these gaps and why the INR values are continue to depreciate with a period of time as compared to the US dollar, so I'll explain that in the next snippet. Please pause the videos and read it out first. Now to cut the long story short, so basically the INR values as compared to the US have always been decided based on the forex reserve the India has. So if the import that has been done is more as compared to the export, so ultimately the forex reserve will decrease. So whenever we trade, we used to trade in the US dollars with other countries. So like the snippet tells us, in the April and August, India has like 192.59 billion US dollars export was there, while the import in the same period was 317.81 billion US dollars. So this basically explains like our forest reserves had decreased a lot, and that led to decrease in the value of INR as compared to the US dollars. And now your next question will be like why the export of the India have decreased, and now your questions will be like why the export in India have decreased in the April and August. And there are multiple reasons for that, like the inflations was one of the prominent reasons, and the second was related to the decrease in the productions in these period of time. So basically that led to increase in the import, and that is one of the prominent reason that the INR value has depreciated as compared to the US dollar. So now the next question that will come into your mind, like, okay, I got that the US dollar has been strengthened, so that's why we need to invest in the US dollars in order to increase our wealth, and decrease in the FII stakes in the higher risky assets have been already factored into the market. But why you are saying that from this point there will be a lot of recovery in the US tech stock, and there will be like a boom kind of thing in the US stock? I'll explain that over in the next slide. So as if we see the post World War II the inflation rate, so from 20% it has been come down to its optimum value to 2 to 3% within 2 years, like 1947 to 1948. So 1.5 year gap was there. Now if we see the episode 2, so from 1951 it comes down to its optimum value to 1952, again the 1 year. If you see episode 3, so basically like from 1970 it comes down to 1972 to its optimum value. Now if you see the episode 4, so it again takes like 2 years from 1974 to 1976. If you go to the episode 5, you will see that it again take 1988 to 1990 to come its optimum value. Now if you go to the episode 6, you'll see that from 2008 to 2010 it come down to its optimum value. Now we are seeing the same thing, like from 2020 the inflation rate has started to increase, and now it has already reached up to its peak value to 9%. So what is your predictions, like till 2022 and 2023, mid of 2023 we will see that there will be decrease in the inflation rate, and it will come down to its optimum value by mid of 2023. So in this inflation rate chart, as you can clearly see that it has already started to decrease from 9.1%. It is currently at 7.7%. So we can say that from until mid of 2023 the inflation rate will supposed to come down to in the bracket of 2 to 3%. If we see the interest rate according to this as well, so we are seeing that currently the interest rate was increasing and it reaches to 4%. Now that it will start to decrease from this point, like till from 4% the Fed will start to decrease, and we already have that news of that the Fed is supposed to decrease the interest rate. Now as soon as the Fed start to decrease its interest rate, again the liquidity will increase in the market, and as soon as the liquidity will increase in the market, again the FIIs will will take positions in some of the high risky assets like the US stocks, and this will lead to the recovery of the US stock. Now, why I'm saying that there will be a bull run in the US tech stock, because we are seeing that these big tech companies are changing their business models. They are trying to move their business model from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. As you can see in this picture, like Meta, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Netflix, the Alphabet, the Spotify, the Amazons, and Apples, all these big companies are already trying to move to this new world called as Web 3.0. Now, your question would be like, why they are moving to Web 2 from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, and what is Web 3.0? Now, one of the prominent reason that I see these companies are moving from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, because the problem with Web 2.0 was that, as you have already seen, that there is always a session tokens and the cookies that was there in your browser which track all your activities. So basically, this is breach in the privacy. So in order to completely eliminate that breach in the privacy, the companies are moving from 2.0 to 3.0, and they are doing a lot of works in that. As you have already seen that the Facebook has all changed its name from Facebook to Meta, and they are trying very hard in order to establish a metaverse. So this is what the all big companies are experimenting on Web 3.0. And also these big companies have a lot of cash flows in their hand, and they can invest these monies into an R&D to get the result. So that is why I am very bullish upon all these big companies. They all are trying to create some new things, and if this got successful, you will see a boom in the US stock. So talking about my viewpoint, so I have already started getting positions in some of these US stocks, and in the going future I'll take more positions in these US stocks. But again, this is not an investment advice. You have to use your own due diligence before investing in any of the stocks. And to view my analysis on some of the Indian tech stock, uh, I'll link that video in my descriptions. You can go and check it out. It's also very useful informations that I have provided on some of the Indian stock, and link is in the description. If you like this video, please do hit the like button, subscribe to my channels. This will help me motivate and come up with some more useful videos, some more informative videos in future. Please comment down the next stock that you need my analysis upon. Thank you. Bye bye. See you in the next video.